President Biden and former President Trump holding competing campaign events in Georgia over the weekend, where the issue of immigration was front and center in the debate. The former president taking shots at Biden for backtracking on calling Laken Riley's suspected killer, quote, an illegal. Let's bring in our panel. Juan Williams, senior Fox News political analyst, and Chris Bedford is a senior contributor at The Federalist. Gentlemen, welcome to Monday afternoon. Ready to go?
Happy afternoon.
All right, let's take this on. So this issue of whether or not the fellow who's, and I use that word very loosely, who was alleged to be the killer of Laken Riley is an illegal immigrant. Biden said this in an interview over the weekend. Listen here.
You used the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
An undocumented person.
So you regret using that word?
Yes.
I regret using that word. So he didn't regret using the word previously to that, but suddenly he does. Juan, who got to him?
I think the people who are the activists for undocumented people in this country, and there are a lot of them, but I think this is all about semantics. I think you and I might say this is nonsense. I mean, this is all about linguistics, and it's about the idea from the activist perspective that when you say a human being is illegal, you are somehow making them less than human and you're demonizing them, that they are undocumented, they don't have proper papers. There's no argument that the alleged perpetrator is undocumented. And so I think the president is just saying, hey, listen, I understand what the activists are saying, and it's not that I'm trying to offend anybody.
So Olivia Dalton on board Air Force One on the way to Manchester, New Hampshire, absolutely said the president did not apologize. Listen to what she said in a gaggle here.
I want to be really clear about something. The president absolutely did not apologize. There was no apology anywhere in that conversation. He did not apologize. He used a different word. I think what we should be really clear about is the facts. I think it's unconscionable that there are some people who are playing politics with this young woman's tragic murder.
Oh, okay, so he did not apologize. The anchor on MSNBC said, so you regret using that word? Yes. Is that not an apology?
It sounds like an apology. This line from the White House sounds like the ladies in Outnumbered said, a bad session of marriage counseling where you're arguing over the semantics of apology or regret. And this is kind of the problem that the Biden White House has been facing in general. What we saw at the State of the Union was spur of the moment. It wasn't in the released transcripts. It wasn't on the teleprompter. It was just intelligent political instincts for something that's activated a lot of anger in the American people, something that's polling very badly. And Joe Biden, a lifelong politician, leaned into that, and he used those instincts. But his instincts, a lot of smart political instincts, go against the policy that a lot of folks in the White House are trying to push on this thing, which is that illegal aliens should be treated as with kids' gloves, even when they're killing college girls. So when you have those instincts run against that policy, you end up with this kind of word salad.
Right. So as the right hand is arguing with the left hand at the White House about what the correct terminology is, President Trump, former President Trump, is down in Georgia. He met with Laken Riley's family. There's a picture of that. And then he said this at a rally about what Biden said. Listen here.
He was an illegal alien. He was an illegal immigrant. He was an illegal migrant. And he shouldn't have been in our country, and he never would have been under the Trump policy.
So, Juan, where is the appropriate place to put the outrage? Is it on the fact that the president used a word that the left and immigration advocates don't like, or is it on the fact that this poor young girl was brutally murdered by a guy who entered this country illegally, committed a crime in New York City, was released, and traveled to Georgia, where he perpetrated this heinous crime of murder?
Well, first, let me just say, this is the point of all the Republican criticism of the State of the Union. We're now down to, did he say illegal? Should he have said undocumented? I think, look.
No. That's the argument on the Democratic side.
No, this is the argument coming from, I think that's why the focus is on this, which seems to me to be not that big an issue, but I clearly see that for some critics, this is the issue. Why did he call this guy an illegal? Should he have said undocumented? Should he have said he regretted saying undocumented? You know, it seems to me that there's a tragic death, and I don't care if the woman was killed by someone who was in the country illegally or someone who was drunk driver. If it was my child, John, I would be outraged and I'd be upset, and especially the idea that it was a physical assault would even make it worse. But this has nothing to do. This is like saying, oh, this is all about Trump or Biden or Trump. It's nothing.
But does it make it worse when, first of all, the president won't talk about her, then is forced to talk about her at the State of the Union, gets her name wrong, then calls the alleged perpetrator an illegal, and then wrings his hands for the next 2 days, walking that back? In the meantime, the family is still grieving.
It's about meeting the moment, and this White House is completely failing in that. If you're sitting there in a city that's beset by crime or beset by fentanyl or beset by illegal immigration, and you've got politicians that refuse to even call it what it is, then how can you possibly trust those people to actually be able to deal with the problem? If they're arguing over whether someone's illegal or undocumented, the question should be, why are they even here in the country? Why were they released in New York? Why were they down in Georgia? Why was ICE not notified when they were first arrested? Why were they released from custody at the border? Politicians can't get the words right, then they'll never get the issue right.
But I think this is all out there. I think, Chris, everybody's saying, why was this guy in the country? Why was he released in New York, as John explained to the audience? That's not in debate. I think what's going on here is that for Trump, he wants to drive the anti-immigrant message as his top message. That's why he blocked that legislation, bipartisan legislation in the Congress, and now he's pushing this, and he's using Laken Riley's murder to facilitate his campaign. It's an expedient move.
Well, he wouldn't be wrong for driving that, because it was the #1 issue in the caucuses in Iowa. It was the #1 issue in the primary in New Hampshire. It was the #1 issue in the primary in South Carolina. So people care about this. Final word, Chris.
Yeah, voters, I think, are the ones who are really pushing that. Trump is responding to that. Even on the Senate amnesty bill, Trump was late to that game. There's a lot of conservative Republicans who are saying, we don't want to back these sanctuary cities. We don't want to bail them out. We don't want work permits. I think Trump's kind of riding a wave that exists outside of him.
Yeah. Gentlemen, fiery Monday.
We got you going.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Love that. All right. Thanks.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.